Eyewitness News presents Newsmakers with your hosts Jane Ann Bugda and Andy Mahalchik.
Hello and welcome to Newsmakers. I'm Andy Mahalchik.
And I'm Jane Ann Bugda. Today we are focusing on hunger in our communities. Sadly, many families, senior citizens, and individuals struggle to put food on the table.
And Jane, the pandemic has impacted all of those needs. The Commission on Economic Opportunity, or CEO, and the Weinberg Food Bank are here to help. We'll introduce you to our guests.
And our conversation begins when this edition of Newsmakers returns right after this. Welcome back to Newsmakers. I'm Jane Ann Bugda along with Andy Mahalchik, and today we are talking about hunger in our communities. And Andy, I think it's so sad when we hear that somebody cannot have the means to put food on their table, or maybe they don't even talk about it and do need help.
And we don't realize, you meet somebody in the supermarket or on the street and they're smiling and stuff, but they're having a hard time putting food on the table, especially if they have kids. And COVID, of course, a big impact this time around.
Well, our guests deal with the issue of hunger every day, and we are joined today by Gretchen Hunt-Greaves, who is the Director of Nutrition Programs and Resource Development at the Commission on Economic Opportunity, and Mary Ellen Spellman, who's the Interim Director of CEO Weinberg Regional Food Bank. And we want to thank you both for joining us. We know you're on the front line of this, not only during the pandemic, but throughout the year for many years. So we just want to maybe stress a little bit about the need of the hunger in our community and what we can do to help. So first of all, let's just start by talking a little bit about the role of CEO in our community.
All right, CEO's mission is to reduce both the causes and effects of poverty. We have programs and services that help our neighbors who are most at risk and vulnerable, including children, the elderly, the disabled, and the poor.
How have you seen the, I'm sorry, Gretchen, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
How have you seen, of course the pandemic has been the X factor for the past year and a half almost. Mm-hmm. How has that impacted the need that was already there in the first place, the big need? How has pandemic created a factor where it's even worse or even greater?
Well, it surely has made things worse. And, we have been here for many years and have helped so many people. And a lot of times, as you said, Jane, and people go unnoticed. And really that's what we're about, is helping people that have gone unnoticed and who haven't had a voice to speak up and ask for help for themselves. And this past year or year and a half now, we have seen a tremendous increase in need in a whole host of areas. One of them most recently that we've seen an uptick in is need for rental assistance. So many families have fallen behind on their rent, and maybe they're back to work and they're able to pay now, but they're just desperately behind. So having programs to help families who are behind in their rent, families who are behind in their utilities, their electric bill, and so forth. So there's a whole variety of programs and services that CEO can offer to families in need and seniors, the elderly, families with children, and folks that are living really on the edge or on the brink of homelessness and emergency situations, and one of them being hunger. And we've seen a tremendous increase in need with regards to food. Just the number of people who have who are struggling, because food is the first thing to go when there's strain on a household budget. I always say that the grocery store doesn't come calling. If you don't pay your electric bill, your lights get shut off. If you don't pay your water bill, your water gets shut off. If you don't pay your rent or your mortgage, you live on the street. And if you don't go to the grocery store, no one really notices. So having that's always the first thing to go. And so we always see an increase in the number of people who are coming out and looking for help with food as soon as there's something that goes wrong. And obviously COVID was a huge influencer.
We talk about hunger, and you had mentioned it's something that we don't see somebody go to the grocery store. So there's a lot of hunger probably in our community that we may not know about. Is there a stigma attached to being hungry or not being able to make ends meet to buy food?
I don't know if it's so much a stigma because, you know, I don't know about you, but if somebody was hungry, I wouldn't judge them for being hungry. But I think it's a fear. There's a fear of stigma, and maybe that's, a little bit misplaced. A fear that someone is that might see you go to the food pantry, or a fear that you might get there and you might not get food that you like or that your family will eat, or a fear that you might get there and get turned away because you don't have the right information, or you don't, you can't prove how much money you make or don't make. So I think there's a lot of fear, and it's more or less a fear of the unknown, a fear of not getting what you need when you need it most. And I don't know, Mary Ellen, but I think we could be really pleased to say that, that's not the experience that happens when someone comes to, a food pantry or a food distribution program for the first time. Do you want to talk a little bit about what that experience actually looks like?
Absolutely. So we have, we work with wonderful, over 200 partner organizations within the 4 counties that we serve, including Luzerne, Lackawanna, Wyoming, and Susquehanna County. And we partner with community churches, outreach programs, shelters, and we have absolutely wonderful staff that and volunteers that have been working throughout this entire pandemic and making sure that families have food to put on their table. There is no income guidelines, just a need for the food at the pantry. So we're very lucky that we have as many member organizations as we do helping, because it really makes a great atmosphere when families are walking into the food pantry for the first time unknowingly, and they're very warmly accepted amongst the volunteers at our many food pantries.
In a way, and we've done so much work. We're proud to work with the CEO and the food bank over the years, with different events, holidays, summer, that kind of thing, and especially now COVID. And your staff is really compassionate. All your member groups, the folks really care about people in northeastern Pennsylvania. Are you seeing, how many people do you think, an estimate, families believe you help out? Families or individuals, do you think your organization, through your member groups, how many families do you think you help out?
Well, so it's difficult to count because every program is different in terms of how frequently they will help a particular family, and a family, if they're in need, could go to more than one location. But the way that we like to look at that is if we think about it on a weekly basis. And this past year, in the calendar year 2020, we actually saw about 18,000 people per week. 18,000
Wow.
unique individuals per week. That includes, and that includes all of the household members. So, but that's a huge number, right?
Right, it is.
That's like adding Kingston and Edwardsville together every week.
Yeah. Every week for a whole year.
Now, I know you touched upon this just a little bit, but you mentioned the criteria. If someone's out there watching, is there a category, a certain income limit, or if someone says, well, maybe I make too much, I shouldn't go in there. What do you tell them, or what do you do if you need? How do you get involved to get food from a food pantry or from the food bank?
Sure. So our food bank serves all of these member and partner organizations. If you aren't familiar with where one's located, you can go to our website and find a map or a list, depending on what county you live in, to find a local pantry. If you can't find one that's near you, you can always call our office and reach out to us so we can connect you with one that's open on, some of them are open 5 days a week, some of them are open every Friday, some are open the third Tuesday. So sometimes it's difficult to figure out, but we do have listings on our website, and we're happy to take phone calls to direct you to the one nearest you. And we simply ask about your need. And so most of our partners take down information such as your name, your address, your phone number, so that we can contact you should there ever be something like a food recall, and information about your household. That's how we know that we served 18,000 people per week, because we collect information on a number of people in households. And then we ask about income, but it's not a limiting factor. So we recognize that folks that, may have made more money in the past, but are currently experiencing unemployment or a loss or reduction of income, that, again, food is the first thing to go. So they may be prioritizing paying their mortgage over buying food. And so we recognize that everybody's situation is different, and a declaration of need indicating that you do need food is all that we require.
What about our senior citizens, Gretchen and Mary Ellen? We have a large senior population. Have you seen their need? How do you reach out to those folks? Because sometimes they're not really computer savvy, although I'm surprised how many folks
they are.
they have grown into that for sure, by much more than they were several years ago. But how do you reach out to our senior community? What programs are available for them?
Right, so we do have, all the seniors, of course, are eligible to attend any one of our food pantries within their service area, but we do also have a what we call as a senior food box program, and then so it's a box of food just for them. It provides shelf-stable products like rice, vegetables, fruits, canned meats, and it could be delivered right to the senior housing complex that they live in, or it could be delivered to the active adult center that they might attend daily. And this program is a monthly program that is offered for all senior citizens. The only requirement is that you are over the age of 60. So if you're over the age of 60, or you know someone who is, we encourage you to reach out to us about this program, as it is very beneficial for a lot of senior citizens.
And
I think just
go ahead, Gretchen.
Regarding, just how do we reach seniors? Unfortunately, over the past year, a lot of seniors are, staying home more often than they used to, and have been isolated. So truly, it's about word of mouth, and having family members and neighbors who are checking in on people and making sure that they're okay, making sure that they have food, getting them to the grocery store, can likewise bring them to a food pantry or pick up food for them. We accept at any of our pantries. Will gladly provide services to someone, what we call a proxy. So if we have a senior who's home and can't get out for either physical limitations, health reasons, or just lack of transportation, perhaps, someone can come to the pantry and pick up food for them. We have great partnerships in the community with healthcare providers, with the Area Agency on Aging. So we have a great system and safety net for referrals to make sure that that seniors and anyone in need gets connected with the system in place.
And I want to remind everyone that we have all this information on our website, pahomepage.com, or under the Newsmakers link. So if someone needs this information and they didn't get a chance to write it down, we have it there as well. Are you both seeing, were you surprised at the amount of need in our area, like over the years? Have you seen it grown steadily and, outside of the pandemic? But are you surprised at the numbers sometime that you see come into your facilities?
Yes, I think we are surprised, and I think the pandemic brought out a lot of new agencies that signed up with us at the food bank. Over the past year and a half, we have had over 30 new partner agencies sign on with the food bank. So I think that people within our own community have seen the need as well and wanted to do something about it. So they collaborated with, their local church or their school or their daycare, and they, got a group together, organized volunteers, and are really leading the way in making hunger and, access to nutritious food for families, reality for so many families within our area.
And I think going back to what we talked about a few minutes ago, ladies, about the families who they have jobs, but maybe they're laid off or they're only working part-time now until the pandemic clears. When they say they're working poor, they have jobs, but their income's reduced, so they can't buy as much food, especially if they have several children. It's got to present a challenge. And thank goodness for your organization.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, children have always been a priority for us in terms of how we operate, both in looking at what kinds of foods we offer, where we distribute food, and how we distribute food. And we know that families with children have absolutely been hit the hardest in this pandemic with loss of school and childcare, and just, you know, being put in a situation where you have limited resources and yet you're trying to raise a family. And so we have a number of programs that specifically target families with children. You want to talk about those?
Sure, yes, we have, we partner with the school districts to offer what we call a children's produce market program at the school, so that families can go to the school and then receive fresh produce, milk, frozen meat, as well as perishable, non-perishable items. And then we also work with many daycare centers, daycare providers within the area, summer camps, anywhere where there are children at. We really try to meet the need of getting food to them. We work with the YMCAs, with the CYC. You know, we're really out there trying to partner with anywhere where there are children, so that we make it easier for the families to pick up the food, so they're not making multiple stops on their way home from work. We offer them in the evening. Most of them would run until 5:30, 6 p.m. so that those parents that are working can still make it to the children's produce market within ample time to, you know, still leave work and then get home as well. So we're really trying to make every effort to reach those child care providers and summer programs and school districts within our area.
And I know summertime is oftentimes a concern for children. So you mentioned you have a number of summertime programs for youngsters that may, you know, not be getting their lunch at school or their breakfast.
Yeah, those programs are just like what Mary Ellen just described, those children's produce markets. They run during the school year after school, and they also run through the summertime. But then in addition, we're partnering with those summer camp programs to make sure that even though they might be getting a lunch, excuse me, a lunch or a breakfast at that summer program, by providing the supplemental food that goes home with the family, you know, once a week or at the end of the week, that those families have food to eat at home when they're not in their summer camp program or their summer educational program, and on the weekends. And that's really critical, because we see so many times that you know, families that struggle, the parents are making sacrifices and they're putting their own you know, food and nutrition needs on hold to care for their children. And we want to make sure that not only does the child get fed, because that's obviously critically important in their growth and development, we also want to see mom and dad eat as well. Mom and dad are not in a position to be you know, good parents and good employees and strong role models for their children if they're suffering. So by providing food for the whole family in these you know, child-focused locations, we feel that we're doing our best job to support families in need.
Well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to continue our conversation about hunger in our communities. We're talking with the CEO and the Weinberg Food Bank today. You're watching Newsmakers, and you can find information on our program on pahomepage.com or under the Newsmakers link. And we are a proud recipient of 3 Pennsylvania Association of Broadcasting Awards for Excellence in Public Affairs Programming, and recently we were awarded a Keystone State Media Award for Best Talk Show in the state, so we're very proud of that, and we'll be back right after this. Welcome back to Newsmakers. Jane Ann Bugda along with Andy Mahalchik, and today we're talking about hunger in our communities, and we are joined by Gretchen Hunt-Greaves and Mary Ellen Spellman with the CEO and Weinberg Food Banks in our area, and they are like angels to people, and they are guardians of keeping people fed in our community, and we appreciate the work that they do, not only during the pandemic but year round. I mean, that's a tireless job. And we want to talk a little bit about how the community can help. So you host virtual food drives. Tell us a little bit about this concept.
Sure. So we actually had virtual food drives before this virtual world post-pandemic, but they really come in handy during a time when we have less in-person activities. So a virtual food drive is not a food drive that collects food cans and boxes of actual food. It's a financial drive. And so we have on our website, we have a virtual food drive page where you can look and see how much money or how much food would a donation buy. And so it's really actually eye-opening to understand that at the food bank, we have incredible buying power, and we're able to access food at wholesale or better than wholesale prices. We're able to access donated food product that's retail quality by getting it from the distributors at the same time that your grocery store gets that food product. And by participating in a virtual food drive, you're actually getting more bang for your buck. And we have a whole number of community partners and organizations that have hosted a virtual food drive. And basically what we do is we set up a personalized web page for you with a direct donate link for you. And you can promote it just like you would promote your regular food drive. So you can put up signage, you can let your customers or your employees, the families in your your religious organization, or the families on your sports team, or wherever it is that you would have traditionally run your food drive, you can run a virtual food drive, and folks can donate online, and we can still track your donations and report back to you and let you know how much food you raised. And so it's a great way to eliminate some of the work that's involved with a food drive, and from our perspective at the current moment, we're not accepting actual food drive product, right, Mary Ellen?
Right, that's correct. Yeah, we're still not accepting donations of food just yet at the food bank, still of course due to COVID restrictions. But so the monetary donations and the virtual food drives are a huge help to the food bank, since we don't have the physical donations coming in just yet.
And we're talking, of course, about food, the number one priority, I would think, for any family. But what other services does CEO and the Weinberg Food Bank provide to those in need, or those who may temporarily be in need, especially because of COVID?
Sure. Well, at the food bank, in addition to the food that we offer, our food bank offers nutrition education, and our food bank offers a number of training and technical assistance programs to help our member agencies, focusing on food safety and things like that. But as an organization, CEO does a lot of other programs, and our other programs in broad categories, because there are a lot of them, they address things like housing and emergency services, or emergency response, and weatherization and energy conservation, and energy programs like utility assistance. So our programs kind of focus on those three areas: energy, housing, and food. But we really truly have a huge variety of programs that address a host of issues and needs in the community. And I think that as an organization, we've evolved a lot over time. We've been here for more than 50 years, and are an organization that responds to the community needs. And so when something changes and something new comes up and a new need is identified, it's our job to mobilize and address that need and work with our community to respond.
And I know you're out there on the front lines working hard, but a lot of people want to help out too. Do you accept volunteers?
So yes, we do accept volunteers. We currently have, if you go to our website, www.ceopeoplehelpingpeople.org, you will see a link for volunteers. You can sign up through a doodle poll as far as what day and time would work best for you, for yourself individually, or if you have a large group, a community group, or a business group as well. We accept volunteers. And then we have an alternate location within the industrial park that we work with, and that's where the volunteers would go to. What we do is we make different types of boxes. Food, family boxes are the most common ones that we give out at many of our distributions. And to date, actually, thanks to all the volunteers that we've had at the at the volunteer site, we've made over 300,000 boxes. So that's really, that's all the volunteer manpower that goes into that making of the boxes.
And we have less than a minute and a half left, so I just want to just ask you both again, where people can go to if they have a need to help, where should they go? If they
You can
need.
visit our website, or you can call us. Our website is ceopeoplehelpingpeople.org. You can find a list of pantries. You can find our phone number there. You can also find us on social media, and even reach out to us via Messenger on Facebook.
And again, I know Marilyn said about volunteering, and if you want to give you'll also information there on the virtual food drives.
Yep, on our website.
Okay, and we have just one quick question. What's the biggest thing on your wish list?
Well, I mean, we could always use more money, but I think truly that people helping people is our motto here, and we're effective because people are helping other people, and that that goes from the volunteering to the food drives and donations
And
that help us do the work here. But it's also just about helping your neighbor.
And Gretchen and Marilyn, thank you so much for what you do in our community, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
For Andy Mahalchik and everyone behind the scenes, I'm Jane Ann Bugda. Check us out on pahomepage.com under the Newsmakers link, and we'll talk again next time.